2008, I tried to do something. I tried to do some genealogical research. It's the only time I actually tried to formally do it. I was in a situation where a lot of people were talking about their ancestry that was different than mine. I called my mother on the phone and I asked my mother some questions. She told me when I was growing up, my family was from Ireland. She used to tell me stories all the time about grandparents and the relationship with Ireland, things that happened. And I said, could you tell me a little bit more? And so she started telling me more about the family, things she hadn't told me when I was younger. And I asked her if she could confirm some information on my birth certificate. And she told me that she remembered me being born at a certain time. And the thing is I didn't remember being born at that time. I remembered being born at the opposite. See, my sister was born at sunrise, but I was born in the evening. That's what I remember from seeing my birth certificate. But she told me that I had been born at sunrise. So when my mother told me that she remembered me being born at sunrise, the other context she gave me for what she told me about my family history, well, I doubted that, right? If my mom wasn't even going to remember the time of day I was born, she was going to get that confused. How could I trust anything else she would say about my family background? She told me my grandfather, her father, had a lineage that went all the way back to the founding of the country. She said it went all the way back to the beginning. I said to myself, she would have told me that and when I was growing up, that was true. Why did she never tell me that before? And she also told me that there were other things. I had Native American history. I had some Scottish ancestors. I had some British ancestors from my father's side, and then from the mother's side, it was Irish, is what she told me. And they'd come over after the beginning of the 20th century. So I said to myself, well, I don't know how much of this I can actually believe. And then shortly after that, things started occurring where I said to myself, I'm not going to play into this. I'm not going to do this blood thing where somehow you have to get a blood test and then you have to run the blood test through a machine. And then once you run a blood test through the machine, they get some sort of algorithmic or mathematical data associated with the quantification of a representation of specific genomic information indicators that may or may not be identifiable as associated with some sort of ethnographic lineage that may or may not have a geographic distribution at various points in time, and hence you are what? Cultural property of that national characterization. So I didn't know how to articulate it quite like that, except I just knew that I'm not going to get a blood test and let them tell me if I have a blood quanta that qualifies for Hitler. Honestly, this is something that I've been dealing with consciously since I first found about it when I was 18. When I found out that, for instance, the way that the Nazis determined whether or not you were Jewish enough to be eligible for concentration camps was whether or not you had a grandparent that was identified as Jewish. That meant that you were 25%. Do you know what 25% is in the history of American coinage? It's different than 1/8. It's also different than 1/16, right? And so the whole question of, well, do you have that 1/16 blood quanta or that 1/8 quanta that would qualify you for the tribal role? I see that came up for a very, 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 very short period of time. When I was really, really young, I had no idea what that was about. I was more interested in the feather barrettes my mom made, right? I mean, does that show some sort of cultural characteristic that might get some acknowledgement and credit? See, to me, that's detestable. Culture is living, even if you have ancestors, even if there are dead elements within your background. Your ancestors should be honored in the way you live and honor and remember them. A lot of us had experiences of exile in our history. A lot of us were from warrior cultures. We are both the conqueror and the conquered at any given time. And so who you live with, it's how you live. It's just a personal, political, and religious decision I made. I'm not going to get a blood test so you can determine whether or not you think I'm qualified for that particular role in a genocidal paradigm. See, that specific commitment came after I was approached about whether or not I would accept a project aimed at the extermination of a specific national character, with an understanding that the extermination of that specific national character would provide a sort of foundation that upon distribution, or rather redistribution, would allow for some sort of means by which other cultures could flourish. If you chose this one that qualitatively had what it had to offer and liquidated it in its entirety, then you could redistribute it indiscriminately, and it would be enough for all kinds of other things to flourish in its demise. I'm not getting a blood test. We'll see what happens. See, my personality doesn't want to say another fucking word. Right? But at some point in time, I encountered a book. I wasn't looking for my own lineage, to be honest with you. I was looking for something else. And at the same time, I encountered what seemed to be a correlation. So I went and I looked up what I had. And I was disturbed. I was disturbed because in this particular lineage, this book that was produced by the Daughters of the American Revolution regarding the first 1600 lineages from the Mayflower, and I found my grandfather's name. I found my great-grandfather. And at some point in time in the past, that name had married with other names that were not on the Mayflower. Now, would it qualify for Hitler? I don't give a fuck. That wasn't the point. Do you want to talk about manipulation of the futures market because you believe that I might have personally, materially misrepresented who I was because I wouldn't give you a blood test on command so that you could collateralize it and then think you could draw down on my ancestry? Because I think that actually that's your fucking charge. And it has been for quite a period of time. Only I wasn't supposed to know it. But I have other interest right now. On the silver anniversary of the assassination of former Attorney General Robert Kennedy, I sought legal assistance. Actually, I wasn't seeking legal assistance originally. I was hoping to get legal assistance in the course of pursuing another interest, which was a cooking class, right? But there was misinformation. It was the wrong place. They couldn't really help me. And so they sent me to a place down the street. When I got to the place down the street, there was nobody there except for one car. And the license plate on the car had a Marine Corps emblem. There was somebody inside. A janitor. I could see through the window. Somebody was doing some sort of, what do you call it, industrial engineering? Somebody was cleaning the place up. There's only one parking lot. There's only one car in the parking lot. It had a Marine Corps emblem. I felt offended. I left. And after I left, I found something. I found another vehicle in another parking lot that had the last 4 numbers of my social security number. Now I wrote myself an email. I followed the clues. I made the connections. Somebody deleted that email within 48 hours. That's fine. At some point I printed something out. You know, sometimes people, you know how insulting it seems? You show up, and you do. What do they got on the schedule 2 weeks later? I would have preferred hello Kabul, just so you know. But I digress. Because see, this thing happens sometimes, especially when you're on the street. Have you ever had it happen? You are poor, you don't have money. Maybe you don't smell so bad that day. You go somewhere, the store, I don't know, display, the gallery, I don't know, it's free. Go inside. Maybe you find a book. You sit down at the table like you're a normal person and you look through the book and you take notes. You can't buy the book. But there's something in the book that speaks to you. Reminds you of something that you think you should have. You want to buy the book, but you can't because you don't have the money. What did I find that day? M.Z. Bradshaw of Waxahachie, born January 13th, 1824, grandfather from Scotland, and father Elias Bradshaw, born in North Carolina. M.Z. was not sent to school, but was presumably given some education. At age 21, he attended school for 8 months, and subsequently taught school for nearly 2 years. In 1849, he moved to Rusk County, Texas. He taught school at Enterprise and then engaged in various pursuits for a couple of years. He began study of law in 1852 and was admitted to the bar the same year by Judge L.D. Evans. The new attorney moved to Waxahachie, which became his permanent residence. He arrived there with virtually nothing but a spirit of determination, and over the next 3 decades became a man of considerable substance. Elected district attorney in 1860, he represented Ellis, Tarrant, Parker, and Johnson counties at the Secession Convention and at the Reconstruction Convention in 1866. He wasn't alone. William Robinson Baker of Houston, son of veteran of War of 1812, Asa Baker, Hannah Robinson, mother, from Philadelphia, born on May 21st, 1820. Nice, isn't it? Tutored by father. Lived in the community with kinfolk and friends performing manual labor. Worked at a general store and was a bookkeeper for the Houston Town Company. In 1841, he was elected as county clerk for 16 years. In 1856 to 1877, he served in Houston and Texas Central Railroad, was president, vice president, and the manager. He became a senator of the state of Texas in 1874 and retired from business in 1878 as the mayor of Houston in 1880. But he wasn't alone. John Ireland, born Hart County, Kentucky on January 1st, 1827, resided on farm, obtained Old Field School education. You like that one? Some attendance at the common schools in his area, but mostly learned from his family. At 18, became qualified as a county constable. Town of Mumford businessmen got the state legislature to remove his disabilities of minority. To qualify, disabilities of minority in 1840s. What is that? It didn't say much detail. Served for several years as deputy sheriff, studied law under Robert Murray and Henry Woods, and was licensed in Kentucky before he moved to Texas. Arrived in San Antonio in January 1853, moved to Sequin and opened practice, elected delegate to the Secession Convention, Constitutional Convention of 1861, volunteered as a private. Then he became captain of the regiment. Lieutenant Colonel elected him to the Constitutional Convention of 1866, district judge same year, but dismissed by the general in 1867 on obstruction of Reconstruction. Apparently, once he got in there and figured out what it was, he didn't like it so much and objected. Was elected to the House of the 13th Legislature and Senate of the 14th, elected pro tem. Called him Oxcart John. There's more. As a matter of fact, he wrote a very important opinion. At some point in time, he became a judge. Justice, actually. But he wasn't alone. David B. Culberson, son of minister, was born in Troup County, Georgia, September 29, 1830, educated Brownwood Institute in LaGrange, Georgia. Read law at Tuskegee, Alabama, and admitted to the bar in 1850 by Judge W.B. Dougherty at the Circuit Court at Tuskegee. Moved to Texas in 1856, first settled in Upshur County, but moving to Jefferson in 1861. Controversial criminal defense attorney and served as judge of the 6th District Court. Elected to the House of the 8th Legislature, but resigned because he opposed secession. Served in the war and helped raise the 18th Texas Infantry. In the winter of 1863, he was appointed to the Adjutant General of the state of Texas. November 17, 1863. Elected to the House of the 10th Legislature from Marion County. He served in Congress for 22 consecutive years until 1897, appointed by President William McKinley as one of the commissioners responsible for revisions to the United States Criminal Code, and served until his death on March 7, 1900. I bought the books. It took a while. It's the second time, you know. I went to that bookstore. I needed something. I looked through the books. I took the notes. I kept them with me on the street. At some point in time, I had some money. I was able to go back. I was able to buy the books. I got them right here. Right here. I got them both right here. With some other names in those books. See, the thing is, I know what you want. And where I come from, you got to get through the 5 of us first. I wish I had the fee, you know? I wish I had it in cash, but I got a problem with that 25%. You know what I mean?